So Mira's finished taking care of herself. She's feeling very focused. She's like, today is the day I either confirm Judith is a monster or I become homeless. Hi, this is Cass from Aussie Cass Plays, and welcome back to the Noble Generation of my Medieval Legacy Challenge. I gave Gabriel a little bit of a makeover. Princess Amy is encouraging him to express himself a little bit more. He had, the very slicked back hair and was very put together. I think he was trying really hard to conform to what he thought the expectations were. He's a little bit out of his depth. He was raised in a church. He's now trying to perform the role of the heir to noble house. I think his natural style is a bit more scruffy, and I actually think this hair really suits him because he can't join the business career yet because he's still a teen. I'm having him work on his charisma for a bit. Amy has school soon. I figured she's heading to finishing school, learning how to be a proper young lady, something along those lines. I might actually have her quit school because I know that's the thing you can do, right? You can drop out, and I think it limits your career options. But she's not going to be working, so I don't actually see that it matters. Judith's over here rocking the piano, but the main one we're going to be focusing on today is actually Mira. Mira's got an errand she needs to run today, so I'm going to get her up as well. I've also made over some of her clothes. She was kind of dressed in fairly conservative clothes anyway. She deserves pampering in her later life, Now, it'd be nice to get her to a B before I have her drop out, maybe. I don't know if that makes any difference. I am going to abandon poor Gabriel with Judith, so good luck, bud. Judith would regard Gabriel and her son probably as off limits, although actually she's been getting more and more wild in her behaviour. I think originally she was like, don't feed on anyone in the house. She's already fed on the butler. Her line is very gradually moving to the point where she's like, everybody is a viable target. I'm going to say she's come in here to basically say to Judith, hey, I'm just popping down to Finchweek. Do you want anything? Would you like me to get you some fresh fruit or something? Because Mira is suspecting by this point that there's something going on. And Judith's like, oh no, darling, that's fine. Just talking to Judith has made her angry. So she's going to head down to Finchweek. She's probably riding an old pony or something. We'll have to imagine that bit. All right, so I'm going to have her actually get a few grocery items. This is just an excuse. They didn't really need anything, but she needs to have something to show when she gets back so she doesn't arouse suspicion. So she's going to walk over to Kim's little stall here, buy some groceries. I always get the cheapest fish. I don't get the point. When you're cooking, the game uses whatever fish you have in the fridge. It doesn't seem to distinguish between types. It's not like I can't make a fish dish if I have perch. So I'm going to get a couple of perch. I've never understood that. She's still feeling super tense though. She's very conflicted because she's like, if I'm wrong, I'm probably going to end up homeless because Judith will be so offended I'll be thrown out. We've got seeds. Oh, we could get some jam. We'll get some apple jam. I suppose we could buy some flowers to plant. I think we have poison fire leaf. We don't have anyone with herbalism. I feel like Mira could have gotten into this, but herbalism is such a pain skill. I've literally never leveled it. The way the game works, where if you go to Granite Falls, the plants haven't spawned in yet. I do have a mod that fixes that now, so at some point I should play with it. But yeah, it takes days for the plants, even if they're in season, because if you're playing with seasons, it's even worse. Even if they're in season, it takes days for them to grow in, and who has a holiday in Granite Falls for that long? It's a very boring place. I like the idea of the princess getting into flower arranging, actually. This is an investment. That's fine. She just made 500 on her book sales. I like the idea that she's spending the money that she made personally to buy some flowers for the princess. But the place she's actually going is over here. Oh, Eleanor's an elder now, guys. Because I realised with Mira aging up to an elder and Jacob aging up to an elder, that meant Eleanor as well. Oh, she's like, hey, sister. Look at how beautiful Eleanor is. She's like, hi, Eleanor, and then, trying to act like she's not going to the house that she's going to. So she's going to go around to the back door. Hopefully the person she wants to see is home. Now, you guys may remember this is the house where the mayor lived. You can see the kitchen caught fire. This is where the damage originally started. I didn't replace all of the benches. I know this is weird. His mum died. His stepfather died. He's trying desperately to run the family delivery business on his own. He's struggling a little bit, this boy. Plus, he thinks Dame Judith is a murderer. He's got a real kind of conspiracy theory happening now and it's just him and the dogs in this huge house. And there's piles of ash and, this would be a conversation better had inside. I'm going to add them to a group. Now, you'll see he has the paranoid trait. I gave that to him deliberately because I thought that would be how his obsession with Judith would kind of come across. She's like, do you mind if we talk inside? Rahul was probably not expecting that because it would be quite improper for a medieval lady to invite herself into your home, except that Mira's an elder. I don't know if she's considered more immune to the wiles of young men. I'm going to offer gratitude to Rahul. Thank you for spending the time to see me, and if I could offer condolences for his loss. It's probably too long's probably passed in Sim's time for those interactions to exist. I'm going to say discuss fears. She's offering her condolences. She's like, I'm so sorry for what happened, because the tragedy is he also lost his younger siblings. He lost everything except the dogs. She's telling him that she lives at the Ward estate, and he's deeply shocked by that, obviously. He's like, oh no, I'm so sorry for you, living with that monster. And Mira's like, look, can you tell me what happened that day? I'm sorry to bring it up. I'm sorry to re-traumatize you effectively. Is it all right if I ask? You keep telling people that Judith was involved in the fire. Can you tell me what you remember? He's saying what he does remember, that he remembers feeling really like he'd had too much to drink, but he hadn't had anything to drink. He remembers that when he woke up, the fire was already engulfing the house, and he had 2 little pinpricks on his neck. He remembers Judith's face. He doesn't remember her actually doing anything. He doesn't remember her starting the fire. His theory is Judith did start the fire to cover up the evidence of what she'd done. He thinks probably his mum and father were killed by Judith, and then Judith was trying to hide the bodies. But he doesn't actually know that. Obviously, that's not what happened. The Sims started the fire. She did wreak a bit of chaos with her vampire powers, and she did leave the mayor locked in a bedroom and walk away. I don't know if that power wears off after a time. I've never used it before, but either Rahul or the father, I don't actually know which Sim did it. One of the two went to cook with low cooking skill, and you know how that goes. But he thinks Judith did it. He's blaming her for the whole thing. He is admitting that that's his theory, though. He's like, I don't actually know. I just know that she was there. Why would she have had any need to be there? And where did the bite marks come from in my neck? He's spoken to Galahad, who also got bitten when he was out walking. Now remember, Judith flirted with Galahad and he shut her down. The next thing he knew, he woke up on the ground with bite marks in his neck. He's assuming Judith walked away and something else happened. He doesn't necessarily buy into Rahul's theory that it was Judith that did it. Rahul 100% buys into that theory. He's like, Judith ate Galahad as well, and he's really mad because he's like, why? Galahad is a squire. He is the son of our local knight, so effectively like the local kind of constabulary almost for the town. And why isn't Asher doing something? And the thing is, poor Asher's a bit up against a wall because it's Judith Ward. I'd say she's now the former leading noble in the region, now that the princess is here. Obviously, Judith is second tier. And Gabriel's been elevated by being married to the princess. So Judith is now having to deal with the fact she's not as important as she used to be. The upshot is Mira's getting all of this information. Her suspicions, I'm trying to remember, because it was a few parts ago. I think, actually, did Galahad tell her that he'd seen Judith? She didn't know, though, that there was a gap in his memory between when he saw Judith and when he was bitten, like when he kind of woke up having been bitten. She's like even more suspicious now. Oh, you really need to pee, my dear. So yes, she's bought the fish. I should actually get her home because these fish will go off. Oh, that's the book she wrote. A writing skill book. I named it On Writing because it's the name of Stephen King's writing advice book. I'm gonna just walk her out to here. We'll see who sees her. And then this rando's like, hey, you just became friends with Rahul. Nobody knows I was here. She's pondering, the garlic test didn't work. Judith didn't react to it, but then she's deeply skeptical about the power of garlic because of what happened with Bartholomew and Penelope. God, they're BFFs. He probably is just so grateful that someone seemed to listen to him and believe him that he's like really kind of glommed onto her. This lady believes me. I've just got Mira eating a grain of bed. She's really tired and I'm taking care of everyone else's needs. Now Judith's getting really hungry. She's waiting for nightfall. It's almost at the point where she could go outside. She's waiting for nightfall to go hunting. And I've got the princess out here planting flowers. So I think she was probably very grateful. I just think she needs a hobby. She does have knitting and cross stitch skill, which obviously she can do. And we could sell those on Plopsy for a bit of extra money, because once Lucas retires, we are in dire straits for cash. Once he's an elder and Gabriel is an adult, I'll have him retire. Now, something I did mention at the end of the last part was I was going to move Gabriel and Amy into this room. I have done that. So this is now their space, and it's a space fishing for a princess, you know. This is his little work area, which will be particularly important once he starts actually working in the business career. So this is their floor. But I did one thing differently, because I was talking about just swapping them. But then I thought the pecking order between Judith and Lucas would mean that she would end up in the next biggest room. Lucas, to appease her, probably said, to respect you as my mother, yes, you can have this room. And then he's the one that's sharing a wall with Mira. Now, his room, I think, is about the same size as Mira's in terms of footprint. Hers is just an inconvenient shape. Now he's mopping. Oh, bless you, buddy. Bless you. That's not your job. That's your boyfriend's job. Speaking of your boyfriend, is he around? Maybe you could get your fun up that way. Come up here and take a steamy shower. And then you can woohoo with your man. Amy is... Oh, she's gone to bed. She must have had a rough day at school. Didn't I tell her to work hard? Oh, she's a B student. Maybe I should have her drop out. I'm going to leave it for today. I'm going to just focus on this problem. Oh, Eleanor, no. Sweetheart, no. You shouldn't be here. It's 9 p.m. You shouldn't be here. I was literally taking Judith hunting. Why are you here? I was imagining just finding someone walking along the street. I didn't think that the food would come to the door. I'm going to feed on her and then I'm going to command her to leave. This would be so hard on poor Eleanor. She's an elder now. I can't imagine it'd be good for her heart. Oh, I feel really bad about this. I mean, it is what Judith would do. Like I said, her kind of control or her willingness to restrain herself has been plummeting. Since she fed on the prince in the house when there were people within earshot, she's like feeling a little bit invincible now. Why did you have to show up? I was hoping it'd be a random townie. Oh, I forgot Gabriel's outside, but Gabriel's on the other side of the house. He would have no clue. Oh, you just stinky boy. All right, so Eleanor's woken up and going straight for the bar, as Sims like to do. And Judith is using her power to basically make her leave and kind of forget she was ever here. Oh, poor Eleanor. I'm sorry, lady. So she's cleaning up the evidence. Eleanor, because she's been commanded to leave by a vampiric power. Again, I'm not sure she'd remember she was here. She might remember she went out for a walk. She would definitely know the bite marks were there. Like, obviously that's evidence that's hard to hide. It's telling that Judith's first instinct when she's feeling like she needs social is to track someone down to yell at. She's just like, I'm going to go be mean to the butler. Amy woke up in need of fun. So, you know, I'm going to let them go have some fun together. Especially because they're both feeling flirty. Because they both have a crush on each other. So whenever they're near each other, they're just like so over the top in love with one another. It's actually really cute. All right, so Mira's finished taking care of herself. She's feeling very focused. She's like, today is the day I either confirm Judith is a monster or I become homeless. There are two ways today is going to go. So it's 4:30 in the morning. Mira is very sneakily going around and locking most of the doors. So there's this door. When she's in here, she's like locking that door, eat the omelette. And then I'm going to have her go out here and she's going to call Judith out. And then she's going to run back inside and lock the door. This is a bit tricky, obviously, because I'm trying to get the Sims to do it. And I don't want to just put them in a group. So she's calling her over. She basically wants to see what happens. Vampires can't go in the sun. It's the one thing that she knows. Chat here. So she's trying to basically distract Judith from noticing that the sun's coming up. I don't think that's working. I don't think that's working at all. Mira, you need to be quick. You need to jog here. Forget everything. Just run. I'm going to say lock for everyone. It's unfortunate that Lucas is out there. This is not a thing I wanted him to be involved in. She's locked the doors. So in theory, I don't think anyone can get in now. Mira would be peering through the window. So I'm going to tell her to go here. I know she won't stay, but we'll have to just imagine. So Judith is like actually smoldering. Why clean the cow shed, Judith? Why is that your instinct? I thought she'd like run into the balcony area or something. I don't know why she would go there. I don't know how bad her energy is. Oh, she is really in trouble. I'm going to have her try and run back to the house. It makes sense to me that she would. I mean, she's sort of jogging by default. I guess the game realizes we're in an urgent situation. The 3rd degree from being in the sun, it burns. So she would, I think, try and shelter here. She'd probably be beating on the door, but obviously she can't get in. So she's out of the sun now. She's begging to be let back in. I'm going to have Lucas come around here. Play in the water. Your mother just ran past you on fire and smoking in the sun, my dude. You would 100% notice. Yes, I've cheated the tense moodlet onto him. Oh my god, she ran back out. Yeah, she's done. She's desperately trying to clean that cow shed. I guess she realized she couldn't get in. He's chasing her. He's like, Mother, what's happening? Why? Is it because the cow shed is sheltered? Like, why would that be the Sims instinct? That is so strange that is the Sims instinct. So he's finally caught up with her as she's catching fire. I'm really sad Lucas came outside. I was kind of hoping he'd be, like, inside. Why is she sad? Oh, she's sad because Lucas is crying! Alright, I'm gonna have her unlock this door and run out. He realised that she'd locked the door as well, so he would 100% know, thinking about it, because he walked up to the door after I locked it and tried to get in, and then was like, oh, that's weird. He would have seen Mira on the other side because she was there watching. Obviously, the fact his mother was a monster is a problem, and now she's, because she had a fear of death. She actually got over her fear of death. Must have come back. I guess dying does that to you. Oh, Amy's off to school. I'll have to deal with that tomorrow. And now poor Lucas is afraid of death and he has to go to work. That's actually really sad. I'm going to cheat that off too. He wouldn't be tense at the moment, he'd be sad. And the fox is like, the vampire menace is dead. It's actually a cool screenshot. Probably not a thumbnail, but that's a cool screenshot. Grim's stealing my crops? That's really harsh, Grim. You stole Judith and now you're stealing my crops. Go away. Now, I've got Mira setting up the final touches on Judith's gravesite. I feel so bad for Lucas that he witnessed that. I did not want that. You know how the Sims, sometimes they'll just decide to join a conversation? Oh, look, the garden's doing really well. Oh, I got a new Little Miss Sam mod. It's meant to stop plants turning into nubs. You know how they randomly just will turn into nubs even if they're in season for no reason? It actually just makes everything be fully grown. So it's a little bit unrealistic because these wouldn't be, but that's fine. Oh, Amy! Oh, Amy, you're sick. Oh, sweetie, you've got stripes. You should come home. Can I have her leave school early? Mira has made sure there's a little garlic wreath hanging on a gravestone. I'm imagining this is some kind of sacred candle. And we're planting an actual fresh garlic plant. Now, obviously, the garlic didn't do a lot, but better than nothing, right? So I'm going to have her sit here and high school, drop out of high school. It will be more realistic, you know. She's gone along to class to her finishing exams or whatever, and because she's a princess, everyone's like, of course, you're perfectly finished. What is it they do at finishing schools for young ladies? I expect it's manners and stuff. Are you sure you want to drop out of high school? You won't be able to re-enroll and some careers will be unavailable. You'll still be able to earn a high school diploma on a computer. High school dropout. Why is that the picture that goes with it? Oh, is that someone making fun of her? Bring it, lady. Princess Amy has dropped out of high school. She will be unable to join some career. Princess Amy messed up again. How is she gonna... Okay, did she get a moodlet from that? I'm gonna actually get rid of that. And what's that? Looming anxiety from fear of disappointing parents. I'm going to check that off when it appears here. Actually, I can get rid of it now. I don't care about the high school dropout thing. That's fine. But this is not about disappointing her parents. Just, it's not realistic for the time. I'm going to harvest all, and I might actually buy Amy a flower arranging table. Rahul wants to become best friends. He must have heard. He must have heard about Judith. He's like, yeah, you did it. You got rid of the monster that killed my parents. And I think she'd be feeling a bit conflicted about that. She's like, well, you know. I don't think Mira realised it was going to be quite so fatal, quite so fast. Honestly, when Judith would have been screaming and running and on fire, and she would have been too scared to open the house up. Like, she could have, but she would have been too scared to do it. Now, obviously, there are consequences here. When Lucas gets home, he's going to be very angry. Remember how in the last part I said Mira was just browsing books on point? She's doing it again. Except this time she's looking at the Holy Book. It's probably a combination of what can the Watcher do to make sure Judith doesn't come back to haunt us all. Because, she was undead and now she's dead. And we know that she's dead. But, Mira's like, well, is she going to stay dead? But probably she's also feeling guilty that she effectively secondhand took a life and is maybe wondering if she is responsible for that. So I'm going to have her analyze it. She's trying to figure out what her kind of religious culpability would be in the Order of the Watcher. I don't know that there would be any. I feel like the Order of the Watcher's approach to occults in general is that they're all evil. If she was responsible in any way for the destruction of an occult, it's probably like, good job, high fives. I think she's on pretty safe ground because the Order of the Watcher is actually quite bigoted. He's actually feeling sad that Judith died. He didn't see it, and obviously she was his grandmother, so he's like probably not understanding. Amy just doesn't have a feeling on it one way or the other. She's probably actually relieved because Judith was notoriously not a very pleasant sim. That was probably one of her big concerns about moving out here to be with Gabriel, was the fact that she'd have to live with Judith. So I'm just kind of waiting for Lucas to get home. Poor boy. I know I keep saying it, but I feel terrible. All right, Lucas has come home. I have also bought the flower arranging table for Amy. I've put it under shelter and I've put it out the back because I figured it wouldn't be under the front porch. That's where guests come in, He's trying to talk to Mira, who has decided to walk off. A little bit harsh. Come back here. Can I get you to console him about the death? I feel like for Lucas, he probably would also be embarrassed. Like, obviously his mum was a monster because that does not happen to good people from a Order of the Watch perspective. She was obviously evil. She's probably talking about her fear that he's actually gonna turf her out of the house. She's like, I'm so sorry for what happened this morning. Amy would just think they're talking about Judith's death and would probably be being very quiet. But I am going to have them go over here because they would not have this conversation in front of the princess of the royal blood. Mira's just generally trying to be sympathetic. And he's like, how long had you known? You did that deliberately, right? And she's like, I didn't 100% know what would happen, but I'd feared that your mother had been turned by a member of the Nosferatu. So yes, Mira's saying, look, I began to suspect. I'd heard stories that there was a vampire in the neighborhood, would be years ago now, and I began to suspect that maybe your mother had been attacked and turned by one of them, but obviously I didn't know for sure. She'd become very nocturnal and stuff, and she never seemed to sleep. Plus, there was Rahul's allegations, which he will have heard of. Oh, he's actually... Wait. I consoled him about the death twice, and he's like, I don't care about Judith. She was a bit mean. So he's gotten over it really quick. I thought it would take 2 days. I need to have her perform the same magic on Gabriel, because he is very sad. That was a 2-day moodlet, and it's just gone. He probably, in his heart, never actually liked his mother, even before she became a vampire, and... she's explaining, all of the people who have been collapsing around here, it's all been Judith doing it, and he's probably horrified. So the fact he's gotten over it so quick, I was actually going to have him yell at her because I was basing it on, him lashing out in his grief, but he's over it. So I guess we're not going to do that. So that's good news for Mira. That means she gets to stay. It's also good news for me because Amy is the lady of the house but doesn't really have any sort of skill. She's not able to run a house. She obviously has Boston to help, but if we'd lost Mira with all of her skills, it would have gotten very difficult. Plus the 500 simoleons in royalties she's earning every day. The risk of sounding callous, I do have a very expensive estate to pay for. Alright, you guys, I'm going to end this part here. I hope that you enjoyed. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. If you could let me know, that'd be great. I'd love to hear from you. I also don't know why she just didn't bother finishing cooking food. It's fine. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You know the drill. Don't forget to wash your hands, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.